What is up, every good people of the world? Hello, welcome to the Mad Poet Show. Thank you for being here. It has been 84 days since I did my last stream. That's just stupid. And I apologize for that. Sarah and I, us, just the two of us, we flipped a house. Her dad's house needed to be sold, and it was in terrible shape. This was like, we got done in November. And ever since then, man, we've just been in like disarray. It's been a freaking mess over here, getting things arranged. We were not good at it. We were not good at this. Sarah broke a toe. The whole thing was crazy. But it's good to be back. Thank you so much. Wherever you're tuning in from, if you're coming in from LiveSpace, Kick, DLive, Trovo, Nino, Nomo, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Vaughn, Picardo, Rumble. I probably missed some. I'm streaming to like 15 websites. Thanks for being here. I see we got Big John's Guitars coming in on Kick. I've lurked on a couple of your streams, man. You're sounding great. Leo Jones, welcome back. Great to see you again. We got Darth Rips coming in on LiveSpace. Tripwire coming in on LiveSpace. We got this is great here. We got from Twitch. Let's embarrass this guy. Backstage Imposit. Hey, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion of your channel. You know what? Why don't you go promote your own channel? And quit bothering all the cool kids. All right? Because this is the Cool Kids Club. And that's what we do here. We make fun of the non-cool kids. That's you. Hey, Recursive Trauma coming in from Kick also. Thanks for being here, buddy. Hope you guys are doing well, everyone out there. It's a beautiful thing. We're playing my 65th album tonight. I think this is probably my favorite of my 66 albums. This one's called Incomprehensible Isolation. Also the title of the track we just heard. Playing a new guitar. As a result of helping Sarah fix that house up, she bought me a new guitar and a new keyboard. So I'm gonna learn how to play piano. I got a really quite nice keyboard over here. And yeah, it probably is a bot over on Twitch offering promotion. But it's more fun to think of most people and put them down. I don't put people down very often on my streams, but people who are doing that, yeah. Yeah, this is an Epiphone Les Paul. I used to have a Gibson Les Paul. It was stolen. Kind of my own fault. I left it in my truck while I went into a dance class. This one is great. I'm really pleased with the way this one's feeling. It was... The nut, when I bought it, was cut a little bit high. And I got this really cool nut for it. I think it's titanium. Or maybe just the screws are titanium. But the actual nut height is adjustable on each saddle, which is really cool. It's something I would not suggest using to anyone unless they're already really, really good at setting up guitars. It would be very frustrating. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, and since I got the nut height set correctly, this plays freaking beautifully. Really pleased with it. And I will end up changing out the pickups. I'm going to change out the bridge. So I usually customize my guitars. I think the only guitar I've got that's actually stock is my green Ibanez. Right there. I think that's the only one I've never really changed anything on. But yeah, hey, man, it's so great to have so many people here. We got... Tripwire 1001 says, awesome setup and also surprised at 65 albums. Yeah, it's, I've actually released 66 albums and I haven't released one for a while. I am working on album number 67 right now. Album number 67 is titled Unfound Paths. And it's a very special album to me because I'm putting together... If you're not familiar with my work, so some of my regulars will already know this. On every album, I dedicate a song to someone. On my next album, for the first time, I'm creating a song as a tribute. And that's a tribute to a guy named Ron Smith. He's a former guitar mentor of mine. He passed about 6 years ago. Very cool guy. And so I've got this big, long, it's a 33-minute song that's dedicated to him as a tribute to Ron. So I've been spending some extra time on album to make sure it's right. I've got all the rhythm guitars recorded for his tribute song, and I listened to it the other day. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. looking forward to getting the leads and stuff in there. So yeah, 66 albums. I just love doing it. And I agree, it is okay to put down spam bots and spam humans. It's okay to put them down too, because they asked for it. So anyway, my lights are flashing again. I know last time I did a stream, these lights are kind of flashing every once in a while. And I think that back one might be, yeah, that one is too. Not sure what that did. It did not do that last night when I was testing stuff. It only seems to happen when I go live. Anyway, nonetheless, let's play some more music off of this album. This piece is called A Silent Prophet. Tripwire 1001, thank you very much for the compliment. I really appreciate that. It really feels good to be live again, streaming again. Got something going on Nono Live. Nono, I believe, is a Chinese streaming website. I don't see any comments, but for whoever's watching on Nono, thank you very much for being here. And of course, wherever you're coming in from, thank you very much. For those who are not familiar with me, I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. Bunch of fools, buffoons, and rogues, and scoundrels and stuff. And it's freaking awesome. So I can see I've got a few new people in here. Some people may already know this story, but this next song, I said earlier, I think this might be my favorite album. I think this might be my favorite song that I've ever written. This is called Fistful of Light. And so the fastest I've ever done an album is 5 days. And that's from writing the first note to uploading onto the internet to publish. 5 days. I had a 11-month period, 2018, 2019, where I was putting out an album every week. It was really fun. It was a great learning experience. By the time I got to this album, I had slowed down a bit, but I really slowed down on this one because of this song. And when I first composed the song, before I recorded it, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna like this song. I think it's just gonna be some song. It's gonna be a song, whatever, man. And I was out for a run listening to things after I recorded, and I was listening to this. I'm like, this is really pretty cool. But there's these really nice, lush, kind of intricate strings that kind of hold this thing together. And I wasn't hearing the strings properly. It kind of bugged me. I'm like, I really wish I could hear what's going on with the strings here. And so I started working on my production, and it was brutal. 2 1/3 years, 2 years and 4 months to do this album. And I got it. You know, I reached out to 14 different audio engineers, heard back from 3 of them. None of them took on the project. I will give Scott Elliott a pass. He did have to get his family out of the Ukraine because the Ukraine was kind of exploding. So I'm going to give him a pass on it. He was a very cool guy. He actually gave me some good advice that helped with a few things. I ended up working with my friends Ray and Jake, and they got great ears, know a lot about music, and they gave me some really solid bits of advice about things I could do that really helped the production. And I listened to this song so many times while I was running, just to see if I got it right. And so this became like my running song. And one of the things I realized is this song, A Fistful of Light, which is now subtitled The Run, if people say, Randy, why do you like running so much? I'll just say, listen to Fistful of Light. And if you don't get it from that, I really can't help you. Because this song is what it feels like when I'm running. The song's about 11 minutes long, and around, 9.5, 10 minutes, there's this part where the song changes a bit, and you'll hear that part right there. That is what it feels like when you're out running through the desert out here, and you get to the top of a hill and just open. That's the kind of victory you feel when you're about running 6-7 miles. You hit that hilltop, boom, and you just see the whole desert just spread out before you. It's brilliant. It's like running through a freaking Bob Ross painting or something. And Big John's also watching on Twitch. Thanks for doubling up there, bud. I like it. So anyway, that's the story with this song, and it's amazing. So tuck yourselves in, have a seat. Trust me, you're only going to need the edge. This is A Fistful of Light. Yes. Jazz. I like the jazz statement there, Big John. That there's definitely an interesting jazz element in my playing. And I did a series of interviews with Mark Cook. He's a guy on YouTube, small channel. He's been doing some music interviews. And he's asked me about my influences. And a lot of people find it interesting that when I'm asked about my influences, the first person I always go to is John Coltrane, who was not a guitarist. He was arguably the best saxophone player ever, inarguably amongst the best saxophone players. And I still remember the first time I heard Coltrane. I've been thinking about doing some YouTube videos, and this is going to be one of them for sure. Just, talking about what I learned from Coltrane. And the first time that I heard Coltrane, I was at a party down in Seattle. My buddy Scott, who I was in the military with, had been taking a jazz appreciation course of some type. And he brought me back into the back room and said, "Hey, Randy, come listen to this." And he put on Giant Steps. And if you don't know Giant Steps, it is like crazy good. So he puts on Giant Steps, and I'm just like, dude, that's crazy. That's amazing. That's so cool. And the thing about horns is that on horns, you can just be all over the place because you don't have to move your hands. And I'm actually going to be talking about saxophone later because there's a interesting saxophone story later in this album. I play a very, very small amount of saxophone, but I really got into Coltrane and other jazz as a result of that. And the way that Coltrane was just all over the place, but it was clearly under control. I wanted that on the guitar, and so that's been a very significant influence on how I approach this. Tripwire 1001 says, "Never run through the desert, but I'm a big runner." Cool, and I totally get it. Thank you for sharing the backstory. Got to head out, but I'll be back. Well, hey, Tripwire, thank you very much. And I haven't been on for 3 months, so I didn't see a notification. If anyone has followed on LiveSpace, if you followed anywhere and I have not thanked you, thank you. I don't always get all of the notifications because I'm doing so many of these things. I've got 3 monitors dedicated just to chats. Also, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, it's entirely possible I'm not seeing your chats. I don't think I've got anyone watching on YouTube right now. Not sure about Facebook, but if you are chatting anywhere and I'm not responding, that's what's going on. Killer, if it was played in one key, but that's the steps, whole steps changing everything. Oh, dude, totally. And in jazz, there actually ended up being a thing known as the Coltrane change, or the Coltrane progression. The Coltrane changes. It basically it's a set of chords that he would often use, a set of chord changes he would often use that just became completely associated with his stylistic approach to everything. So, if you're new here, you may not know what's about to happen, but my voice just changed a little teeny bit. And my regulars already know what's about to happen. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the G sharp minor portion of the show. You are welcome. I don't know if you people are religious out there. I don't know if you believe in God or the devil. But I know this. The devil believes in you. Big John, thanks for the 666 cents, my good friend. Yes, Satan loves you. Satan is your buddy. Good stuff. We got a new follower, FM Rock 1. Welcome to the Mad Poet Society over on Kick. Thank you very much for following. We got FC Python 1973 coming in. Thank you very much for being here. And as I said earlier, wherever you're coming in from, I'm streaming to 15 different websites. So if I am not seeing your chats, my apologies. I haven't been up and running for, like I said, 3 months. It's been 84 days since my last stream. So I was surprised that all 15 websites actually came online and I got that right. It's like we got some people coming in on Nemo TV. I believe that is a Vietnamese streaming site. And I can hardly see the chat on that one. Whew. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but nonetheless, thank you very much all for being here. Greatly appreciated. Hopefully this stream is working well. I want to check this here. Well, looks like we're good on runtime. Yeah, okay. Things are going better than I kind of expected them to. You know, when it's been that long, I spent like, I think 2 hours today just making sure all of my streams were connected properly and up and running. I'm just realizing now I should have actually contacted Michael and told him I was streaming tonight. He's a student of mine, and I sent him a copy of this next song. I sent just the raw tracks because he's working on production, and he would probably love to hear this, but it's too late to call him now. If you happen to be out there watching Michael, MT Labs, yeah, this one's going out to you. This piece is called Almost Invisible. Okay, so Big John jumped over to YouTube. Cool. So this, I always have my chats up in multiple places. Okay, yeah, I had this problem before. I tried using the kind of just the chat window for YouTube, but it did not work. So let's get these put together. But I do see the sheep chat, so that's awesome. And we got Ghostface666 followed on Kick. Thank you very much for the follow. Thanks for coming into the stream. That is awesome. As I mentioned earlier, I haven't streamed in a few months, so I'm just getting things back together here. And let me, boom, and kabonk, something kind of like that. There we go. Okay, now I got that for YouTube. Excellent, Tatumus. Cool, all right. And thank you for your patience during my administrative criterion. Oh, dude, my setup over here, Big John over on Twitch just said, setting the stream up must take a while. This setup is absurd. I've got this big checklist that I go through every time. With the smoke machine and the lights and the, kind of make sure my microphone's out and getting everything in place and getting all of the stream channels and some of the stuff you guys don't see. For example, on my main monitor, I have sheet music. So, and then it's set up so that I'm running through a recording program. And that I've set it up so that it automatically turns the pages on the sheet music for me. It's so good. It's such a cool setup. Actually, we don't have fiber internet. I would love to have fiber internet over here. Even a simple stream is still a very complex entity. If you're just sitting there with, a guitar and a microphone or, a keyboard, it's a pretty intense setup, even if you don't have a crazy light setup. There's a lot going on. We're on Starlink internet, which is okay. It's really good for satellite internet. And so we're on that. And then we also have CenturyLink, which is quite weak. But what I do is I use a special VPN. It's a load balancing VPN. And so it's using two internet signals together. And that makes it a bit stronger. When I was only using Starlink, occasionally the streams would just stop. And it really sucked. And so it is a very complex setup. It's been fun learning to do it. Back when I first started, I've been streaming for, I think, almost 4 years. And when I first started, I just had, that does explain the cutouts, exactly. And I apologize for that. I wish that didn't happen. But we're in a small town in eastern Washington, middle of nowhere. There ain't any fiber internet out here. When I got started, I was actually facing the other direction in this room, and I just had 4 lights back on the floor, and they were just kind of shooting a little bit, and that's how I learned to program the lights. Because with these lights, and we got Demonic CJD1. Thanks for the follow. Thank you very much for coming in. The light show is... And I think I just got a couple of subs over on Kick also. Thank you very much for the... Oh, so I got subscribers. Oh, YouTube is showing up. Cool. I just got 2 new subscribers on YouTube. Thank you very much for that. I didn't realize that's cool. Oh, that's I gotcha. I don't understand my own system. And new follower, Spider622. Welcome to the Mad Poet Society, everybody. This is awesome. This makes me feel really good. I'm going to admit here, I've been thinking about getting back into streaming for like a month. And I'm like, man, I got almost no followers. And not very many people watch my shows. This makes me feel really good that I'm back and people are interacting and following and subscribing on YouTube and everything. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here. This is a very fun stream. So yes, okay. So this next song here. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm seeing all kinds of different stuff. My brain sometimes cannot keep up with all of the things I do in my stream. Okay, so this next song, as I mentioned earlier, on every album, I dedicate a song to someone. This next song is dedicated to my friend Clarissa. Clarissa, I don't know if you made it out here tonight. I did let her know about the show. There's a painter that I'm really into named Michael Whelan, and he was very, very well known in the kind of 80s and 90s. He did a lot of fantasy novel covers and things like that. Great painter, man, brilliant painter. And he did a couple of Sepultura album covers, I believe. He did a few album covers. I'm pretty sure he did a Sepultura one. And I've got this coffee table book of his. It's called Something in My Eye, and it's got this painting of this kind of like punk rock looking dude, and he's digging into his eye like there's something in there, but he's digging his finger so far in that both of his eyeballs are in one socket. And Clarissa always just got a kick out of that. That was always sitting on my coffee table. And so when it was time to dedicate a song to Clarissa, I knew that it was going to have to be called Something in My Eye. Dominic CJD1 says, this is amazing. So glad I stumbled onto this stream. I'm glad you stumbled onto my stream also. I really appreciate you being here. I just love playing guitar and making music. And Spider622 says, do I do song requests? Right now, I do not. And so the way I'm set up here is today we're playing my 65th album. It's titled Incomprehensible Isolation, and I'm just playing the full album, and that's all set up in advance. I have been working on, I've been working on my singing a lot, and I've done several test recordings recently, and I've been really quite pleased with them. I've been a pretty bad singer most of my life, and I've figured out a lot about how to be a better singer. So I've set up a potential type of stream that I'm going to do. It's going to be very different than what I do here. I will be singing in it, and I will be able to take song requests, but it's going to be really slow ambient work. And so, like, I was practicing recently, and I did Bad Moon Rising by Creedence for like 45 minutes. And so that's kind of where I'm going to go. There's a lady on YouTube named Sally Wallach. She's a Canadian streamer. She's really awesome. And I'm kind of modeling the way I'm going to do my songs after her setup. And right now I'm set up to do, I think only like 8 or 10 songs, right? Because this is all very new. But of course, I will be adding in more stuff, and I'll be able to learn songs. So it's going to be a very different experiment. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. I'm not going to promise this yet because there's this. I have identified myself as a bad singer for over 50 years, and I'm finally getting good at it. And I've worked very hard at getting good at it, but even though I can listen to a recording of myself and be like, hey, that was pretty good. Like I recently recorded myself singing Billy Joel's Vienna, which is my favorite Billy Joel song. And I'm like, of course, I don't sound anything like Billy Joel. I mean, Billy's Billy, he's freaking awesome. But it sounded good. And I'm like, man, that's quite good. But then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, was it really that good? Am I fooling myself? So that's really the sticking point on that. And so I'm gonna have to take the jump one of these days and just get out and just start doing it and see what happens. But I really did enjoy the setup. I will still need to set up for that the lights. As I don't think I finished my thing earlier with the lights. Every time a light goes on or off, that's programmed. So the light programming for that the ambient sets will be a little different. So I got to work on. I know how to do it. I got to get in and get that done. So with that, then I will be able to take requests. And if that works out, then I have also been setting up a series of songs to do metal style and do vocals on. The most common request that I've gotten is Tornado of Souls by Megadeth, which I can play. Yeah, it's there's a lot to set up. There's a lot to still kind of rattle around my brain with that. So maybe one of these days. Stick with me. Your MIDI is buff. Yeah, actually, the MIDI in here. The MIDI is what runs the lights. It's running all. It's right now. MIDI is running my drums, the organ, the strings, the brasses, the piano, the harp. I don't think there's any harpsichord on this album. I got a lot of MIDI running on this thing. It's awesome. Totally digging it. Again, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Anyone who's coming in a little late, if you're new to what we do here, I am the Mad Poet. You are an audience. We are the Mad Poet Society. I appreciate you being here. I'm playing my 65th album. The album is called Incomprehensible Isolation. And this next song is called The Reluctant Hermit. The schnitzel sandwich says fantastic balls. Thank you very much. Big John Guitar says, I'm proud of anyone that can be productive in this glyphosate poisoned effing country. I don't know what glyphosate means. Glyphosate? 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 I'm not sure. I am unfamiliar with that word. So, but I agree. This country and this whole world is a freaking mess right now. So, yeah. I think people should try to be productive. It's a really good way to deal with the complete mess that this world is becoming. It's pretty brutal. We got some people coming in on D Live. I need to embigorize the font over on the D Live chat. Board Troll just donated 1 lemon. Thank you very much, Board Troll, for coming in. Don't see people all that often on D Live. That's a really cool platform. I totally dig that one. And for those who are not familiar with D Live, the lemons are kind of like a tipping service on there. It's a pretty cool setup. How long have I been composing music? Yeah, Roundup is bad news, Big John. It is. How long have I been composing? I started writing music really... Okay, so the earliest thing I ever wrote, I've never published, but I'm going to publish it when I get to my 100th album. My 100th album will be titled Dead Man's Junction, which is the name of the very first band that I was in when I was about 8 years old. And I actually wrote one very cool little idea back then, and that's going to be the opening to that 100th album. But I wouldn't really call myself a composer at that point. I first started writing riffs on the guitar back around 1990. And the earliest riff I wrote that went on to an album, went on my first album's titled Confusion, that riff ended up on a song called Sanity Sucks, and that would have been written in 1990. But again, I would call that more kind of riff writing than composing. And I would say that I really started getting into more composition. I've always been I really enjoy sheet music. I think it's very artistic. In fact, back behind me here, behind this camera that I'm pointing at, there's a big mural that I made of just sheet music. And it's some of my own sheet music. And I really, what I would call composing, I would say I probably started doing more around like 15, 20 years ago, where I really started, like on my first album, I basically wrote guitar parts, riff writing, and then I brought in some drummers and they would set up the drums and kind of went that way. And that worked well. That worked very well. But yeah, so then I started really getting into more of how to compose music, so that I was setting up things like, you know, on that last one, we were going back and forth. We got the complete rock ensemble. Then we also have some strings, and then we go back and forth between the strings and a pipe organ. And so, you know, that kind of composition, that was later on. But I've been doing it for quite a long time. Like I said, 15 years is probably a decent estimate on that kind of thing. Oh, we got, okay, I do got Stephen Paris coming in from Facebook. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. That is so true, my friend. Stephen, I don't know if you're still looking. That was from like 15 minutes ago. So I'm glad to know that Facebook is coming up at least on that chat window, even though it's not coming up on that chat window where I would like to have it. Steve, you're still out there, man. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Steven he asked a question, probably about a year ago on one of these streams, and I took it as a challenge. On my 69th album, I will be dedicating a song to Steven. He already knows this. The song is titled Tortured by Beads, and I am, at this point, I am 90% sure, 85%, 85 to 90, we'll call it 87.5% sure that I'm going to sing on that album. And I'm going to sing on the song dedicated to Steven. It's going to be a long song, probably like 15, 20 minutes. and it's going to be a lot of spoken word in it. That I know for sure. I'm probably going to sing in it, and if I sing in it, I'm going to be singing about oysters, carpenters, and circus midgets. That's right. That's going to happen. That's very 87.5, 88%, 87% sure, 86%, 86 to 88% sure. We'll call it 87% sure. I'm going to sing on my 69th album. Yes. Oh, cool. Steven just put up a comment on Facebook. He remembers the Confusion record featuring Braden the Ogre on drums. So, okay, Braden McGraw, mutual friend of Stephen Paris and I, very cool guy. He just called him the Ogre on drums. Braden is a crazy freaking monster on drums. Before I met Braden, I heard this story kind of later on. Let me tell you how I got introduced to Braden McGraw, because this was nuts. My friend Scott, I've been helping his band with some stuff, and I told him I was looking for some drummers for my first album. He said, I know the guy. And so a couple days later, Scott comes over with this dude, Braden, and Braden pulls out this little teeny kit. It looks like a freaking toy, right? I mean, I'm not even joking. Little teeny kit. It's got probably like a 15-inch kick drum, snare, one tom, and some cymbals. And I'm just like, oh God, what have I got myself into? So I'm like, okay, well, let's play. And this dude, he laces into that drum kit, and it was like jaw dropping. He is that good. And so what I've come to understand about Braden is that the guy was so crazy good. He used to have like this great big like 9-piece kit, right? But when he would play that, the rest of the band just shouldn't have even showed up, because he was so good that much drum just made everything else inconsequential. The guy really was that good. And Steven says he's working with an awesome band now called Disasteroid. I'm gonna have to check that out. And I actually worked with 2 drummers on that album, Braden McGraw and a guy named Jerry Rome, who used to come into my Twitch stream a lot. Both just awesome to work with. Really, really good. And I got to give a lot of credit to that album also to Dave Walker of Riverside Studios. He was co-produced it with me and did the engineering on it. I learned a lot about recording back then. So that released in 2004. And yeah, just a really good experience. And yeah, those guys are so great to work with. Steven of the Pilchuck Boys, if you want to look them up, and also formerly of the Nigel Mustafa Memorial Quartet. Quite a good musician in his own right. He's come up with... Dude is witty. His lyrics are freaking awesome. I'd say probably my favorite Nigel Mustafa song, Fecal Matter in My Hair. Awesome. All right, so this next song... This is so great. This is so great. I'm having a blast here doing this show. Thank you all very much for coming in. This next song, I was playing... I think I was playing Patron Saint of Murderers. I'm not sure. That's my 55th album. Anyway, I was doing a stream back when I just first had started composing this album, and I was telling a story about my saxophone, which you can maybe barely see back there with the lights. It's right over there. I can't even see. It doesn't matter. There's a saxophone back there, alto saxophone. And so I was talking. I had that in my hands, and this gal Sarah Jazz came on from Twitch, and she said, "Oh, I was hoping I was going to get to hear you play that." I said, "I'll tell you what, Sarah, I'm going to play saxophone on my next album. I'm going to write a song to play saxophone to." And that song is this one. It's called Unknown Acquaintances and Lonely Strangers. You may notice the complete lack of me going to get my actual saxophone. So I wrote this song. It's in G minor, because that key translates very well to the saxophone, and I'm not a great player. And recorded the saxophone, and it was cool. It was very cool. I really liked it. I'm like, this is all right. You know, the recording I did, I probably would have redone at least parts of it. It wasn't great, but I'm like, this is a really cool song. And then I listened to the whole album, and I'm like, nope, can't do it. And it was like, I'm the bad poet. I can do whatever I want on my albums, right? They're my albums. I own this music. I can do whatever I want. But when I listened to the album, it just sounded so wrong to go from The Reluctant Hermit that we just played to Unknown Acquaintances and Lonely Strangers, and then on to Waiting for Time. It was like going from freaking Slayer to Kenny G and back. And it just didn't work. So I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just try it with guitars. And I was like, yeah, this song needs, this album needs this song to be a guitar song. As much as I don't want that to be the case, that is the case. That's how it is. Really like the way this came out. And then, you know, like I was talking earlier about how I'd listened to this song while I was out running. And as soon as I made this a guitar piece, this became such a cohesive album with this song. And it really feels good when it comes on, where you just listen to like the full album. Yeah. So this is a nice mellow piece here. It's called Unknown Acquaintances and Lonely Strangers. Yeah, I think there's a fairly strong chance this is going to become my main guitar. Uh, as I mentioned earlier, I used to have a Les Paul, very similar to this, all black, and I've always really felt comfortable with a Les Paul. I've been wanting to get one again for a while. I'm really glad Sarah bought this for me, and it kind of feels good to have a Les Paul in my hands again. And this one is playing, I gotta say, really nice. As I mentioned earlier, when I bought it, the nut was a little bit too high, and I've replaced the nut with this adjustable one. And I did, you know, I know what I'm looking for on a guitar. because I've done quite a bit of this, and so I knew that the fretboard was nice and level, and that's really the most important part of guitar. So I was pretty sure it was going to work, and now that I've been playing with this live show, I'm getting fairly intense with it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm digging this. Thank you, Sean, for the compliment there. Maple passionately desire they do that in maple board black traps. I'm not sure I follow the statement on that one, Big John. My apologies. I'm not quite sure what that's a reference to. Maple board. Not sure what black traps is. I'm guessing you're talking about what kind of wood they make the guitar out of. This is a full mahogany, and that makes it. Oh, the inlays. Yes. Well, yeah, and that's on my other Les Paul. I customized like crazy on that. I actually had the entire fretboard removed and replaced with a piece of ebony that had no inlays on the front. It was beautiful, and I don't know if I'm going to go down that path again. It is not inexpensive to do, and I wouldn't have been able to get this if Sarah didn't buy it for me. So there's that. Yeah, Big John, I am tuned to standard. I used to, my very first album actually was tuned down a half step. And someone earlier was asking about composition, when I started composing. And when I started composing more seriously with sheet music, I started tuning my guitars back up to standard because I was writing these for, so much of my music is backed up by a string section, brass section, an organ, a piano, a harpsichord. And even though those are all programmed, I kind of like the idea of, actually playing, if that were ever to come about, I want it to be possible. And the key signatures for the strings just get so complex when you start using the alternate tunings on guitars. So I tune it to standard, and after a while, I kind of started feeling like tuning to standard as a heavy metal artist is almost like an act of rebellion. It's like, so many people are out there tuning down to, drop A on their guitar, drop B, and it's like, who can go the lowest on their guitars. It's really quite rare for people to tune to standard on metal guitars. So I'm like, it's almost like an act of freaking rebellion here. So I stuck with it. But yeah, E flat. I used to play with a punk band. We tuned down a full step. Metal band I used to play with, we always tuned down a half step. And I like to refer to, when you tune down a half step, and this is going to be a fun one for you, I always like to refer to it as Baroque tuning. As in from the Baroque music era. And that's the reason for that name is that in the Baroque era, what we currently call an E flat would have been written as an E. But it would sound like what we think of as an E flat. And then through pitch inflation over several centuries, we've actually moved away from that. So if Mozart could be brought forward in time and listen to his recorded music, he would ask why it's all out of key. Why did you guys tune all your pianos wrong? What's wrong with you piano? So yeah, and then in 1953, we actually standardized A at 440 hertz, and that's where the standard tuning comes from. Little music history lesson there for all the music theory geeks in the world, of which I am certainly one. So we got 2 more songs here today. How long have we been streaming here? An hour 42. That's not bad. I've been talking a lot on this one. I'm going to try to stream again tomorrow. I'm going to try to stream very regularly for a while here. I really have enjoyed being back into this. And so 2 more songs here today, and then we will be doing more of my albums in the near future and continuing to rock it. But then we're going to get real nice and upbeat here. We're going to bring the chunkiness back. This next song in F minor is called Waiting for Time. We got one more song left tonight. And this one is somewhat unique amongst my albums. Now, some of you will already know this, but all of those guitar solos I just played through, those first 9 songs, improvised. Just making that stuff up as I go along. Most of those songs will have kind of a motif that's written in. It's usually a half a measure to 2 measures, and I will kind of use that as a inspiration or a guide for how I might move forward. This song is unique in that every note is written out. I do not improvise anything in this song. Of over 600 songs, and I've put out, this is the only one that's true of. Actually, that statement is not quite right. My first album didn't have all the guitar solos on it. So from my second album to now, this is the only of all the music I play live, this is the only one. That's how I want to say it. And that's because this is the first time I've ever done a cover tune on any of my albums. I enjoy doing cover tunes, but this is the only one I put on an album. Song you guys will all know, because it's been around since 1609. Putting it very much in the public domain, didn't have to worry about any copyright issues. This is Heavy Metal Variations of Three Blind Mice. Yes, Big John was digging that. Thanks for the cheese emojis and the comments. Hey, thank you very much, everybody, so much for coming in today. This has been an absolute blast. I'm so glad to be back. I will be back again much more regularly. That is on the docket now. I'm set up. I'm good. I got the mice. I got the cheese. And speaking of cheese, I should probably go make a pizza. I make awesome pizza. I'm making pizza from scratch, homemade crust, and I think that might have to happen next. This has been a blast. Thank you for my tippers, all my new followers out there, my new viewers, all the chatters everywhere. If I missed any followers or chatters or anything, my apologies. Hopefully that will work itself out as I continue to get back into streaming. But it's been a blast. Enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope to see you all again soon. Very likely I will be streaming at least one album tomorrow, possibly two. Maybe Patron Saint the Murderers or Bucket of Blood. I'm going to have to pull one of those out. Those are always fun. We'll see. We shall see. But yes,